How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Shifting Lanes. My name is Hanson, and for this video, I'm sitting in the 2022 Honda Civic Touring, and I'm here to share with you my likes and dislikes about Honda's all-new compact sedan so that you have a better idea before you buy. And make sure you stick around all the way till the end of the video to hear my overall recommendations. And if you haven't already, please take this time to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you can be notified anytime we make a new video. Without further ado, let's get going with the review. For 2022, this 11th generation Civic is all new. New bodywork, new proportions, and plenty of new technology. I want to start this review with the exterior styling first because this new Civic now looks more grown up. The first thing that got my attention was how different the profile looks compared to the previous generation. That rear-wheel drive car look is achieved by changing the distance between the front axle to the dash area. And that move, along with other body changes, has made the Civic noticeably longer by about 6 inches. And it made the Civic look more mature, like its big brother, the Accord. This design change is the same thing that Acura did with their TLX, and that sedan now looks more premium and more sporty than the one before it. If you'd like to watch that review, please click the link at the top. The front end has also drastically changed without giving up the Honda identity. The front bumper is on a more vertical plane, giving it a forward lunging stance. These changes are better for pedestrian safety reasons, but it does a pretty good job looking good as well. The grille has simple horizontal slats and is on the small and modest size by today's grille standards. And there's also no chrome trim up front, which I'm thankful for. Now back to the profile of the Civic, you'll notice that the belt line is more horizontal, providing more glass surfaces for the rear door. The hood and the fender is also sitting a bit lower than before. Both of these design changes and the fact that it's longer made the Civic look like it's been going to the gym. And finally, at the rear, the Civic gets a more traditional looking set of headlights, making it look more like an Accord and less of a budget compact sedan. Overall, the new Civic is a pretty good looking car, and I can't wait to see what the new hatchback, the new Civic Si, and also the new Civic Type R is going to look like. Now, while we're on the subject of the Type R, Acura has just released an image of the new Acura Integra. It's just a teaser image for now, but most likely, if we go by history, that car is going to be based off of the Honda Civic. So what you see here is most likely going to be the same platform for the Acura Integra. Until those special editions come out, there is a way of making this Civic look more aggressive and interesting. Honda has the Honda Racing HPD package where you can install some spoilers for the front, side, and rear, as well as a deck lid spoiler. Now moving inside, the new Civic looks very different compared to the last generation, and the most noticeable feature in this car is this honeycomb grille. This is such a clean way of hiding vents in a car. Now if you've sat in any new Mazda lately, they've done a superb job hiding vents in their cars, and it has made their interior look more seamless and upscale. Honda has done the same thing here. The dash looks very clean, with the only thing poking out being the control knobs and the hazard button. The HVAC dials, the buttons, and the display also looks pretty good, and it adds to the whole minimalist design. Now if you look up here, we have the new Infotainment System, and it's one of the big upgrades in this car. There's a 7-inch touchscreen that's standard and an available 9-inch unit. This is the bigger one, and you can see to the left-hand side that there's a physical volume dial, and there's also some home, back, and seat buttons. The software has also been massively improved. The menu system is simpler and it's visually more appealing than the previous infotainment system. The performance is greatly improved too. And you can use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and if you have the Touring version, which is what this is, you can get the wireless version of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If you have the 7-inch screen, you still have to use a wired connection. Another great upgrade in the Civic is the digital instrument cluster. This Touring has a 10.2-inch display, whereas the LX, Sport, and EX trims, you'll find a 7-inch display and a dedicated speedometer. Now this system is the same one you can find in the newly redesigned Acura MDX, which I've also tested before, and you can check that link up here. The display on this cluster looks very modern, it doesn't stutter, and the animations don't look tacky like some other brands. But what I like most about this display is that it can communicate so much information and detail, especially regarding all of the safety systems that are active. This Civic Touring comes equipped with a lot of safety features like adaptive cruise control, lane keeping, collision mitigation, forward collision warning, traffic sign recognition, and blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert. There's also more advanced cameras and sonar sensors at the front and rear, giving the car a very good sense of its surroundings. And you can see all of that going on in the center portion of the screen. You can individually turn on your adaptive cruise control and your lane keeping assist, and with both systems on, the screen shows you what the car sees. So it generally knows the shape of the road and other vehicles that are present, like other cars, trucks, and motorcycles. And one small bonus that I like about that display is the tiny Honda Civic in the center. Now when you hit the brakes, that icon will also hit its brakes, and when you turn on the headlights, it will do the same thing, same as the turn signals. Now I just hope that when the Civic Type R comes out, that icon is going to be updated to show the massive rear wing. As for the rest of the interior, the heated seats are nicely designed and comfortable. The leather surfaces on the seats, the steering wheel, and the shifter feel pretty nice. As for the center console, you have a nice wireless Qi charger up there that works pretty well. You have a couple of USB ports, and I like the center section here because this has a fingerprint resistant pattern. And over here you have your drive mode dial, you have your auto start stop, your parking brake, and your brake hold button. Now back here you have a pretty generous armrest section, and when you lift this removable tray and look on the underside, there's an inscription that says "The Civic history goes on." There's a flat pattern of the original Honda Civic. So these are just nice little touches, a nice little Easter egg that shows you that the heritage lives on in the 11th generation Honda Civic. As for the rest of the car, the 2022 Honda Civic has slightly more rear legroom than the previous version at 37.4 inches, while the trunk space shrank just a tad at 14.8 cubic feet of space. Both of those figures are pretty good though, considering the compact nature of the Civic. With all that being said, what is it like to drive the new Honda Civic? This is a pretty fun car to drive. First of all, in the power department, you can either get a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine or the 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. The 2-liter engine makes 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque, and you can find that in the LX and Sport trims, while the one that I'm driving is the 1.5-liter turbo version that makes 180 horsepower and 177 pound-feet of torque. And you can find that in this Touring and the EX trims. The turbo engine makes a little bit more power than the previous generation Civic, and that's always a welcome change. And that engine is attached to a CVT, or a continuously variable transmission. Unfortunately, no manual transmission available for any of the Honda Civic sedans, but the upcoming hatchback is going to have a 6-speed manual transmission available. With that being said, the Honda CVT is really not bad at all here. Seems like the CVTs have come a long way into becoming something that is very refined. The shifting performance is pretty good, and it mimics something that actually has physical gears. And if you put the car in sport mode, that shifting becomes even more responsive. Handling wise, this car feels really nice. The new Civic with the longer wheelbase and the wider track feels more athletic and more planted in back roads, especially like the one I've been driving on. Honda made some structural changes in this car so that there's more torsional and bending rigidity than the 10th generation platform, so that benefit certainly pays off here. Now the ride quality is a bit on the firm side, but it's still a big improvement. Bumps and other road imperfections will all be felt in here, but it's not a bad trade-off considering how nicely this thing handles. I do hear some rattles and vibrations here and there when the road gets a bit too rough, or when the music or the bass gets a little too loud. Mileage-wise, the new Civic has improved. This Touring model gets a 31 city, 38 highway, and 34 combined. But if you want to save the most gas, the EX model will get you way better mileage performance at 33 city, 42 highway, and 36 combined. Overall, the 2022 Honda Civic is a great car, and it's a great start to the 11th generation Honda Civic. I highly recommend it because this is a fun car to drive, and there's a good amount of technology in here, both for convenience and also safety. Price-wise, this Touring model starts at $28,300 and doesn't really move up much from that. Now, if you're an auto enthusiast, I wouldn't recommend picking these up right now, considering that the upcoming hatchback version is going to have an available manual transmission. And also, eventually, there's going to be the Civic Si and also the Type R. And like I mentioned earlier, the new Acura Integra is going to come out in 2022. But for everyone else, you should put this Honda Civic on the list. Now, if you're looking at other compact sedans as well, make sure you check out our other videos. I reviewed the Hyundai Elantra, the Veloster, Toyota Corolla, and the Mazda 3, just to name a few. And they're all worth putting on your list as well. With that said, I want to thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. If you've learned something, please consider hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you can be notified anytime we make a new video. I'll wrap it up right there. My name's Hanson. This has been the 2022 Honda Civic Touring, and I will see you next time.